Hi all, welcome to the sixth episode of my online series, Boss Babes. I'm here with one of my favorite people, Monique Brown. Thank you so much for being
Hello.
here.
Hey, thank you. I'm a boss babe. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, you're definitely a boss babe. Um, she does so much for the community and is really a huge voice. And so I just really am excited to have you here,
Thank you.
Monique. So Monique started FOB Hope, which is a nonprofit organization that supports homeless veterans. And she really does spend countless hours, doing, being a part of this and creating this and making this, nonprofit, something that the community can benefit from. So, and I've seen her do so much work. And so, I know that you are really making a huge impact on the community now and in the future. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes. And
Thank you. Me too.
yeah. And, how we can support you in making that happen. So, I'll let you tell, everyone a bit about your story and all of that, and I'll give you the platform. I do want to give folks a bit of a timeline of some of your accomplishments
Okay.
before we start, and so I'll just tell folks a little bit about that. So Monique was born in Missouri, grew up in Los Angeles. She joined the Army in 1987, correct?
Correct.
And then, so 1987 to 1990, between 1990 and 1995, she joined the Army Reserves. In 95 to 2005, she joined the California Army National Guard. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes. Yes.
And then in 2005, she graduated with a bachelor's in criminal justice. Between 2005 and 2006, she was deployed to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, in support of Operation Enduring Freedom.
Yes.
And then in 2006, joined again as an active duty, correct?
Correct.
Army. Between 2006 and 2007, she was deployed in Iraq. And then again between 2009 and 2010. 2013, she medically retired from the U.S. Army.
Yes.
And then in 2014, she became the Veterans Outreach Specialist at El Centro de la Raza in Beacon Hill. Is that right?
Right. Correct. Yeah. Good. You said it very well.
And then in 2015, she founded FOB Hope. And then in 2016, FOB Hope became a 501c3.
Right.
And then you left El Centro de la Raza to work full-time at FOB Hope in 2018, correct?
Scary time, but yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine, yeah. And then you began your master's program for nonprofit leadership in 2018.
Yes.
Contracted with Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs. You won that contract to be the Pathfinder Coordinator for King County Veterans Program in 2019. Correct. And this year you'll be graduating with your master's in nonprofit leadership. Woo-woo. That's awesome. It's amazing. So just an amazing journey. You've had so many accomplishments. And on top of that, you're the chair for the Women's Veterans Advisory Committee, a life member of the Veterans of Foreign Affairs, a member of the Disabled American Veterans, and a lead in the women's area of the Seattle Stand Down. Is that correct?
That is all correct. Yes.
Just want to make sure I have my facts right.
Hence the gray hair.
But, just all in all, a long list of, accomplishments and things that you've done. So, I know that all of these experiences, put together and kind of you're using all of those things to really make a huge impact in the community. Is there anything I've left out that you'd like to add?
I don't think so. I think you're pretty there. I will say, when you put on that uniform, sometimes it just bites you. You get stuck. And I took so much pride in wearing the uniform, and I was so proud of myself for having joined. That's why I ended up kind of coming back and forth and not being able to totally let it go, because it just somehow had a way of getting me.
Yeah. Like there's a pride in doing that.
Correct. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So what are some of the events that led you to in developing or prompted you to develop FOB Hope?
Okay, so when I was medically retired and I got that job at El Centro, I was doing outreach, and I came across veterans who were saying that they didn't want to go to shelter. And I
Mhm.
was quite confused about that. But then I've been to a few of the shelters and I get it.
Yeah.
You know, lots of fighting and
Mhm.
stealing and mental health issues and
Mhm.
crowd. And so people just would rather be on the street to do it on their own. So I started asking, you know, hey, well, what do you need? Can I help you? And people would tell me, you know, hey, I need a sleeping bag. Hey, I need a tent. And so I would go ahead and do that. And then I met this gentleman named Gilbert Lopez.
Mhm.
And he was a 100% service disabled veteran,
Mhm.
homeless. He
Mhm.
was a heroin addict, and he was
Mhm.
very upfront about that. But he said he was tired and he wanted to get into some housing. So,
Mhm.
trying to work with him to get into housing, and I got him into a program. And then he got kicked out of the program, and he was upset with me for that. And I tried to explain to him, you know, you have to go to the appointments and things.
Yeah.
But anyhow, long story short, I would give Victor a sleeping bag tent, somebody would steal it. I'd give him a sleeping bag tent, somebody would steal it. And then I stopped hearing from him.
Mhm.
And I was downtown Seattle in front of the, God, it's right by the court in downtown Seattle.
Mhm.
There's a shelter across the street. The Salvation Army has a shelter there.
Mhm.
And I was trying to find veterans. I was walking up and down the line there asking people who were veterans. And I just happened out of the corner of my eye to see a white piece of paper on a pole, and my attention was drawn to it.
Mhm.
And so I looked over and it said Homeless Remembrance Project. And as I'm looking at the list, it says deceased Gilbert Lopez. Uh, Hypothermia was the cause of death, found in a park. And man, you
Mhm.
talk about being devastated, a veteran who gave so much, who was 100% service disabled, so obviously injured in the military,
Mhm.
um, died alone on a park bench, froze to death. He froze to death, right? And so right then I was like, mm-mm,
Yeah.
not on my watch. Nope. So I just really started collecting things and really started trying to get out into the street and make sure I could give people what they needed, a jacket, a beanie, gloves, hand warmers, whatever I could give them. And it just kind of evolved from there.
Mhm.
It was a gap that nobody wanted to fill.
Mhm.
And reason being is because a lot of people feel like I'm enabling those folks to stay on the street. But the
Mhm.
reality is they're going to be on the street anyway. They
Yep.
don't want to go to shelter. So I'm not going to let them sit out there and die, especially people who served our country. So that's kind of how FOB Hope began.
And you know, I've seen you kind of have store like in your garage, just like things like people bringing things in, and I mean, really, like it's so amazing to me, just
you,
like how much
you
work you
should
guys
see it
do.
now.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, really amazing to just see that. So you know, and I didn't know that story. So what a it's heartbreaking and amazing that you're kind of like able to, you know, do something about that, and yeah, and you know. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to that. So I know that you do have future plans for FOB Hope as well. So I know that, you know, you're kind of wanting to create change now and support the veterans that are on the street and give them, you know, food and clothing and things of that nature. And also, and I do know that you also have future hopes, you know, and you want to
Absolutely.
expand it and support them kind of in a longer, you know, longer term. So what does that look like? And you know, what is that?
That looks like a fob. I don't know if you know what a fob is. Oh my goodness, my dog is barking. I hope
That's
you're
our,
okay. Okay.
oh yeah, that's fine.
I don't know if you know what a fob is, but a fob is a forward operating base. And when we
Mhm.
are deployed, we live there for a year, right?
Mhm.
And people who go off of the fob, they get their mission, they get their resupply, they get their rest there, and then they go back out, you know, on their mission. And so
Mhm.
when I was thinking about naming my nonprofit, I
Yeah.
was thinking, okay, so they can come to me with their problem. That's kind of resting their problem with me. They can get
Mhm.
their resupply from me. I'll give them what they need to survive on the street. And then we can uh, build some trust with them
Mhm.
and hopefully get them into housing. And then I started thinking, gosh, well, there's no housing. What does that look like?
Mhm.
And then I started thinking, when they do come and get somebody for housing, you
Mhm.
know, these communities grow. If I can just explain it to you, right? These little communities grow. You can see people on the side of the freeway and you'll see one tent, two tents, and then 50 tents, right?
Mhm.
They are in there. I went to the one that was on I-90 and I-5.
Mhm.
And in there, people had made pathways from their tent to other tents. They had planters in front. And I recognized this is a community, right? And these people are watching each other's back. And what we do as service providers is say, hey, you veteran, I'm going to pluck you out of your community, put you into this housing over here. Good luck to you. No support, right?
That's true.
And so my thought is creating that FOB where people can live. And this has been done in other states. And I know we have some here, but there would be tiny homes, maybe just 200 square feet. There's a organization called Veterans Community Project, and they do this, which has, you know, a bathroom, a kitchenette, a twin bed area, and then a little living room. And they give them new TVs and all that kind of stuff. And then they have like a community center. So FOB Hope's plan is to be able to take the person off the street, but put them into the community of veterans on the FOB, have a community center, get people to come out and do some internship, you know, offer internships and offer, what's it called?
Support, like internships, like
the other thing, there's internships, but there's also, oh man, you know, where they get to go do hands-on work and stuff and get paid.
Oh yeah, like not mentors. I know what I'm. I think our viewers will figure that out. Yeah, like
somebody will put it in the comments.
Yeah, somebody will put it in. Yeah, someone put it in the comments if you remember the word, because we're both working on it.
I can't remember, but if it comes later, I'll tell it. But anyway, you know, and training classes, computer rooms, and then a space for other service providers who can come and help. You know, another issue that there is that VA has these HUD-VASH vouchers. The Department of Veterans Affairs has these HUD-VASH vouchers, but nobody can seem to use them anywhere because they don't have enough dollar amount on them. So I thought, well, that would kind of be a way for FOB Hope to sustain. We say, okay, we'll take the HUD-VASH voucher for that amount, and we'll turn around and put it back into the FOB so the person could use their voucher for real instead of having one and walking around shopping for somebody's place to live. And then we could provide them with things to move them forward.
Hi.
Hi. Well, this is Shadow, and she obviously misses me. What you get when you have to be at home and do things.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so the future looks like a FOB. It looks like a small community of tiny home villages with resources in the middle. I even thought about, you know, on the FOB, you have like a little shopette, right? And you can go in and do little grocery shopping. So what about a shopette that was a food bank? So people could just come in and get stuff for free. I mean, the FOBs are all income, everything you need. It's a little community, and that's what I want FOB Hope to be. So, and just, you know, continue to give people support, because we can't take them away from these little communities they've developed, put them into some apartment somewhere and say, good luck. It's not going to work. They're going to be right back on the street. You know?
There's just no support there, or people that might understand their challenges. They're very specific challenges. So, yeah, you know, and I hadn't kind of thought about that, the idea that like, if you would pull them out of just, you know, and put them in an apartment or whatever, that, I mean, they're completely, I mean, which seems like it would be an obvious kind of like obvious, but for whatever reason, it's not as obvious for you know, it wasn't as obvious to me, but yeah.
It's not, because those of us who have homes think, oh, great, you're getting a home. But in our homes, we have support.
Yeah.
We have our mothers and fathers we can call. We have our spouses that we live with. Some have children, you know, but when you're homeless and you're all by yourself, and then you take them from the support and put them into a place by themselves. I remember I heard a story about a guy who was housed, and he pitched his tent in his living room, and that's where he stayed. It was too overwhelming to be anywhere else in the apartment.
Wow.
I mean, we've got to start thinking about housing differently. We can't think about it from the perspective of those of us who have houses.
100%.
We have to think of it from the perspective for those who are out on the street. Sometimes a one-bedroom apartment is too overwhelming for some.
And so, you know, is there sort of like a system that would kind of help them get to that point? I mean, I know we had talked a bit before, you know, about a tiered system. Is that kind of like a tiered system to get them to that point?
Now that would be FOB Hope on steroids, right?
That's like the Hope, right? Yeah. Like,
yeah, that is the Hope. So I have plans, right? I've got some plans laid out, but you know, I'm working on it. But yes. So you're looking at, you know, you've got these folks that are on the street that do have mental health issues, that do have issues with alcohol. So a barracks type of situation. Okay, I'm going to take you off the street. I'm going to put you in this barracks. So you do have a room, but you're going to be in a building with other folks for support. And we're going to get you the mental health counseling you need. And we're going to get you the drug counseling that you need and try to get you clean. The second phase is still sort of like a barracks model, but so that you have the support, but now you're working on employment. If you don't have the skills, then we're trying to give you the skills, you know, that you need to get jobs. And then the next phase is that phase where you're in the tiny home village, you've got your job, and you're just kind of working it and trying to get back into society and get things to be normal. Once those people leave the FOB, if they want, I'm a little torn about whether it should be transitional or if it could be permanent housing, but we'll work that out. But when a person leaves the FOB, then their job is to turn around and mentor some people that are coming behind them.
Love that.
And so we have the peers sharing their experiences and bringing someone along with them. And, you know, I think about that Each One Teach One, if you ever saw that movie, Each One Teach One, you know, so reach back and pull somebody else up with you. And that's the goal overall. It's a little ways off, but
well,
you know, I pray about it all the time, right? I'm a firm believer in throwing it in the universe and seeing what happens. So you never know. You never know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that idea of, you know, paying it forward, like kind of helping others and mentoring others. You know, you've been there and you kind of understand what the challenges might be. So, you know, supporting one another in that process and empowering.
But you know what, too? That peer mentorship. When I got out of the military, I was diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, and major depressive disorder. And I kind of fell into that, right? I started believing that I'm this broken veteran. And then getting that job at El Centro kind of knocked me out of that. And it took me to another phase, like, okay, I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
Because I'm helping someone else.
Totally.
So I'm thinking about those veterans who may be graduated from the FOB, right? Their joy will come from reaching back to help somebody else. Their purpose will be found in helping somebody else. This is how I found my purpose. I always tell people that God picked me up and set me right down into El Centro de la Raza because I wasn't even looking for work, and taught me that my purpose here is to help people. And I just happen to choose veterans because that's what I'm familiar with as a veteran. There's a lot of homeless people on the street, and I would love to be able to take care of each and every one of them. But because that's overwhelming, I just chose the veterans world.
Yeah, I mean, it's very empowering to help someone else that's been in a similar position, or, you know, and just kind of like taking that back in a way, you know. So, you know, kind of in light of that and knowing what your future plans are, you know, what are some of the things that the community can do to support FOB Hope? I know that we spoke about, you know, you all looking for donated land. And I know that's huge. And so, you know, to people out there and to viewers out there, if you or someone you know, has, you know, an opportunity to give that donated land, and, you know, it is a 501c3. So, you know, just
tax write-off.
Yeah. So think about some of those things. But I know that that's one way, you know, and just what are some ways, some other ways that the community can support you in doing that?
So land is the hugest thing. I will say that no tiny home village can be built without a land. So that the land is the hugest thing. But in the meantime, money is always good. We know that financial donations help an organization, but in-kind donations help FOB Hope. Most of the organization is run on people giving me toiletries, giving me tents, giving me sleeping bags, socks, clothing. Right now, I'm in need of, I've been getting requests a lot for men's undergarments, so men's t-shirts and boxers, and I'm about down to the end now. I just got another request for a guy who's a size 34-30. I don't know what is going on with 34-30, but all week I've had requests for 34-30. So I'm down to my last 2 pair of pants and some shirts and underwear. But yes, in-kind donations, always good. And then time. You know, you talked about how I've got the things in my garage. I
Yeah.
also have things in my office behind me. I've got things under my shed in the backyard. And so if anybody wants to donate time, we can get together and pull this stuff out, make the toiletry kits. And speaking of toiletry kits, just so you know this.
Yeah.
So we're doing what's called Operation Mask Up.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll happen probably here within the next week or two. I had to put it on hold because of this being my last week and a half of school.
Yeah.
But so we're going to offer 2 masks to every
Awesome.
homeless person for this one, because it's going to be hard to determine which are veterans, which are not when we set up this table someplace, right? So 2 masks, the gator neck style, which is the ones that come all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have the opportunity to wash one by hand and dry it and wear the other one, because it's hard to get to washers and dryers. Along with that, we'll give them a toiletry bag that includes hand sanitizer, and we'll give them a snack bag
Mm-hmm.
and water, so that they have something to take with them. But we're just trying to take care of folks. Things are opening back up.
Mm-hmm.
The homeless community is typically, in close quarters. And so we want to be sure that we keep veterans safe, but also anybody we can help. So right now we have 200 masks, which means we can take care of 100 people. And I'll let you know when that comes out. And then another thing we're doing is Stop Killing Black People, a community conversation. That will happen on Tuesday at 9 p.m. via Zoom. And what we're just doing, I didn't realize the other day, I was talking to the Pathfinder team from King County and began to cry as I was talking about George Floyd and all that's happening with Black people. And I realized that I had not really involved myself before in things. I saw it happening, but it just kept staying in my bubble. And for some reason, this time is different. And so I just want to be able to allow other people a safe space to be able to talk, cry, laugh, cuss, communicate, and maybe we'll come out with some sort of action, maybe not. The goal is not to come out with an action. The goal is to be able to start a community conversation. I'm hoping to have different genders, different races, different sexualities, just a gumbo of people, if you will, on this conversation, just to talk about things and start a conversation and see where it goes. But
having those difficult conversations and difficult, uncomfortable, important, necessary.
Absolutely. I heard somebody the other day, I was talking to one of my friends, I can't remember who it is right now, and they said they felt uncomfortable at first in this rally for Black Lives Matter. And so I said, think about, you felt uncomfortable because you were one of few white people in a group of Black people. But think about how I walk into a meeting. Every time I walk into a meeting, being maybe the only Black face, I'm uncomfortable, but I push through and I do it. And that's what we need our allies to do.
100%.
Be uncomfortable, but get in there. Be uncomfortable the entire time. I'll be uncomfortable with you. We are all the same, Sharon, and I don't get it. I'm looking at you. Your skin is different than mine. Your hair is beautiful. Mine is gray.
I'm graying too, so.
But inside, what do you want? You want to be loved, right?
Yeah, of course.
You want your kids to be happy and healthy.
Of course.
You want to have friends and companionship and be successful. That's what everybody wants. Black people want it too. People of color, Latinos, they want it. Everybody wants that. So I don't understand what's so hard about recognizing the systemic and institutional racism that we have and fixing that system. I don't want to wait for the millennials to do it. The millennials, hey, they'll do it. They'll be the ones to do it. But we need some of these people that are in positions of power right now
100%,
to get started.
Change the system from the ground up, the foundation, and those conversations. And it's so true. I mean, like, everybody you've been uncomfortable for however long, it's like folks need to be okay being uncomfortable. Folks need to be okay being uncomfortable. And that's the only way to push things forward. And I'll be there, and at that conversation, having that conversation with you all. And I could post it as well. you know,
Okay.
when I post the video. I know how many folks are able to be on that Zoom call at once.
100.
Okay, so it'll be 100, and maybe there'll be more, you know, conversations. You know,
If it looks like people are saying, hey, I can't register anymore, then hey, we'll have another conversation.
yeah,
But the thing is that I could have used the 300 platform. I just feel like somebody's going to get lost in there. 100 is
yeah,
already
yeah,
100 is already too many,
yeah.
but some people will just come and listen,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine.
Yep.
But
Yep.
others will be vocal, and so I think that capping it at 100 is good. I'm almost kind of hoping we don't have 100, so that it will be you know, more intimate. But if it looks like, hey, 100 slots are filled up quickly, then we'll do it again.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll invite different folks. But right now we have Dr. Jasmine Mahmood. She was my social justice teacher at Seattle U. Incredible, incredible woman. And she teaches social justice, but she is an artist. She is a performer. So she does it in a way that encompasses all of these things. So she's going to moderate the conversation, because this is you know, not anything that I've ever gotten involved in. I have never said, hey, I want to be involved in this race issue. And so it's not my expertise. So she graciously volunteered to do this, and I'm praying for just some great conversation.
Yeah, I have a feeling that, you know, it will be filled up quickly. I really do. I think right now, you know, folks are really, you know, coming to terms in a different way. Especially, you know, I think especially white folks. You know,
Yeah.
and you know, think everybody else, you know, I think people of color have know this. This is a reality that folks face every day. So I think this is, you know, for a lot of white folks, is something that they're like, oh, and you know,
Yeah, yeah.
you
So, you
know,
know, friends of mine, you know, they're shocked when I say I was followed in the store. Like, what?
yeah.
I remember one time I went shopping, and I don't know if you have time for this little story, but I'll give it to you real quick. I went shopping with a friend of mine. Now she's Latina, but she looks like a white girl. Everybody's, is she Italian? No, she's Latina. But so she and myself and her mom, we went shopping, and another young lady, Latina. We went shopping, and we walked in the place together. But the lady automatically locked in on me, and I started picking up items that I wanted to purchase, and she came over to me and said, hey, let me hold these things for you. Let me take them to the register. And I was like, no, I'm good, thank you. And she's like, no, really, let me, you know, really kind of getting stern, let me hold them for you at the register. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And so I went over to my friend and asked her, you know, did the lady offer to hold your stuff? Because she had a handful of stuff too, you know. And no, when I went to the register to use my debit card, the lady asked me for my ID. She didn't ask anyone else for their ID. And so I'm like, it's my debit card. I have my PIN. Why do I need an ID? And she said, oh, we ask for ID on everyone.
Like
Okay,
that.
so I give her my military ID,
Yeah.
and she's, oh, okay, thank you. And that was that. But then when they came out, I said, did she ask you for your IDs?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's just simple things like this that, you know, people think are subtle, but it happens all the time. I have been followed many times in the store with a group of my friends. When I was in the National Guard, I was a regional director for loss prevention for Lomans. And on my time off, I was shopping in the mall and was followed. People don't know what you do. They
Yeah.
don't know if you're educated. They don't know if you're a darn FBI agent. I don't know if you've seen that video, but it's just because the color of your skin, they're following you, assuming that you're going to do something wrong. And that, to me, is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think, you know, I see all these posts, people saying like, oh, what horrific times, et cetera, et cetera. And it's kind of like, it's been horrific for a very long time.
Right.
Right. And I
Right.
think a lot of white folks are just like, oh, it's horrific. It's like, no, it's been horrific.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
now it's just in your face in a different way.
Right.
You know?
Right. It's been here, and you know, it's no fault of a lot of people. You know, they are uh, they have the white privilege, and they don't really realize that they have that privilege. They just go about their lives in their bubble, right? And don't really get it until I hate watching the video of George Floyd, but people need to see that video. I thought about Emmett Till's mom, which she said, no, open the casket, leave it open. They need to see what happened to my boy. And so now people are seeing what happened to Mrs. Floyd's boy. And I think it's affecting a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
differently this time. Yeah,
Yeah.
people are reacting a lot differently, and
Oh
I
yeah.
love it. I love it.
All
I
these
love it.
global support too. I mean, these, riots, etc. It's unprecedented,
Right,
unprecedented,
right.
what we're doing right now. But
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean,
Five Hope is trying to do a little something. We don't have a focus on veterans of color. We have a focus on all homeless veterans. But I
mhm,
will say that disproportionately, Black male veterans are homeless more
mhm,
than white male veterans or white veterans in general. And when it comes to housing, I know for King County for sure, when you talk about the numbers and who gets housed, the homeless numbers are here, white male, black male. And then as the housing goes, the black male or veteran of color stays here and the white male gets housed.
mhm.
So what does that say to us
Yeah,
as well?
right.
You know, be it two people with the same identical backgrounds, that white guy gets housed first.
Mhm.
So also, just it goes back to all this racism and
Oh yeah, like
got to be fixed.
100%. I mean, and these community conversations, definitely like a really important start, in doing these things. And then, so kind of just along, those lines, sort of what other kind of, challenges do you see, homeless vets facing today that, whether it's disproportionality or, kind of.
I think the face really, Sharon, has changed out there. Before there were a lot of individual single male veterans out there.
Mhm,
There's also women veterans out there,
mhm,
single. But now you're seeing a lot of families,
mhm.
sleeping in their cars
Yeah.
because the economy has killed folks. And
Yeah.
if you're in King County, it is expensive in King County.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
still work and do everything in King County, but I had to move to Tacoma because it's just so expensive there. And so you're looking at these families who are sleeping in their cars. So that has definitely changed.
Mhm,
You're looking at people who were doing well on their own as individuals. Their income is no longer enough. You're
mhm.
looking at veterans who are on fixed incomes,
Yeah.
who, if you're 100% service disabled, it
Mhm,
doesn't automatically say that you can get money from Social Security, right?
mhm,
So if you're 100% service disabled and you feel like you can't work, but
mhm.
the Social Security says, no, you can work, and you decide to stay home, then you're
Yeah.
only on that fixed income, just like a senior, right? You're on that fixed
Mhm,
income. So when the economy and pricing and everything starts to go up, here's this veteran who has this set amount of money, and now they're being
mhm,
displaced and being so. Economy is huge to put people
mhm,
out there. Um, there's challenges with the HUD-VASH voucher.
mhm.
The
Yeah.
Department of Veterans Affairs is trying. The SSVF programs, they're trying. But
Mhm.
if things are too expensive, they cannot use those vouchers. So then where's the money come to put a higher dollar amount on those
Right.
vouchers? So those are challenges. The challenge of having anything criminal in your
Yeah.
background and
Right.
then trying to move forward to get work, is difficult for those folks. But
Sounds like a lot of systemic challenges. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
no, no, that's fine. Yes, I mean we're having a conversation and it's okay for you to
off.
speak.
Yeah, no,
But
I mean,
yeah,
it
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
like
It is
systemic,
systemic.
yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of
for
systemic things
sure. Yeah,
and
yeah.
challenges. And so, like, are there some, I mean, well, what are the challenges that, FOB Hope, that you're experiencing, within your organization, if any?
I think that the biggest challenge is
Mm-hmm.
being able to do what I want to do, being able to move forward to
Yeah.
put people into housing. There's a lot of distrust with folks that are on the street.
Yeah.
With you've got these people that come out to them and say, "Hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that," and then you don't see them again. They don't do what
Yeah.
they say they're going to do. So FOB Hope doesn't have that problem. We go out there with the stuff in the van, like, "What do you need? Here you
Right.
go." So we don't have that problem. We can hand it to them right there. What
Mm-hmm.
we do have a problem is to say, I want to get you off the street.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anywhere to put you.
Yeah.
So that's why the FOB Hope is important, or new shelters for veterans are important. I mean, we've got to have some way of offering the housing when we are out there on the street. It's
Mm-hmm.
so devastating to go out on the street, talk to all, I mean, there's thousands of people out there. You're
Mm-hmm.
talking to all these people and you're asking what they want and how you can help them maneuver through the Department of Veterans Affairs systems, and how can we get you registered at the VA hospital, and how can we get you started on a claim, and you can do all that stuff, but you can't say pack your bag, put it in this van. I'm going to take you to a place to live.
Yep.
And that's the biggest challenge. And that is the hardest thing. When
Yep.
self-care is huge, right? In this
Yep.
service world. And when
Oh.
I go to bed, sometimes when it's so cold outside,
Mhm.
rainy, and I go to bed and I think about that there are people on the street. There are people who served our country that are out on the street,
Yep.
laying on a piece of cardboard or just laying on the concrete, which is how folks die of hypothermia. So the challenge is getting them into housing. I am going to do this job until I can't do it anymore.
Mhm.
And I'm going to work on that goal of getting people into housing. But that is the worst part.
Mhm.
Yeah, by
How
far.
and do you feel like how has the community responded to that so far? Like, just what you are doing and FOB Hope.
Some folks in the community are wonderful.
Mhm.
Some council members, wonderful. But
Mhm.
some don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
Yeah.
A council member told me, people like me are scared. Now, this was a white woman.
Hmm.
People like me are scared in our homes. We don't want these people out on the street. You know what? You can't work from a place of fear. You
Mhm.
have to work from a place of love,
Yeah.
a place of compassion.
100%.
Okay, they scare you, but sit down and talk to them. There's stories out there.
Mhm.
There's so many stories. I got lost because I get passionate about this. I don't even know what you asked me just now.
You know what? You're doing perfectly fine. Yeah.
I get so
No,
passionate about it because, God, just sit back for a second.
yeah.
Yes, there are people with mental health issues.
Mhm.
Yes, there are people with drug and alcohol issues, but there are people like me. You
Mhm.
know what I did the other day?
Mhm.
This week, I packed up a duffel bag with clothing and I drove to Issaquah
Mhm.
and I dropped it off at the gate
Mhm.
of I believe it's a Holiday Inn that has been turned into a COVID
Right.
quarantine site. And I
Mhm.
dropped it off for a veteran who was staying in that quarantine site. And that veteran said to me over email, because I have not seen him at all, he said to me, "This is an unfamiliar place.
Mm.
I have had my own practice for years."
Wow.
So not everybody
Mhm.
is down and out
Yeah.
mentally, down and out physically, down and out uh, substance abuse.
Yeah.
There are people who have been working like you and I,
Mhm.
and they have just not been able to keep up with the economy,
Yeah.
or they have lost their practice. We've
Mhm.
got guys out there who get a divorce. They didn't save for themselves, but they leave the wife and the kids, the family, so
Mhm.
now they've got to live on the street. I met a guy out there. He was under the freeway. He was driving a van with his entire family in it. They got in an accident and everyone perished but him. He could not recover from that. He could not come back. So that's where he is, on the street, trying to get it back together. I
Mhm.
saw this Seattle is dying and a tale of three cities.
Mhm.
And
Saw that. Yeah.
everyone depicted
Yeah.
on there
Mhm.
was, you could see they had a mental health problem or they showed them
Mhm.
doing drugs. You're telling people wrong. And
Yeah.
that kind of scenario is what makes people throw away
Mhm.
folks who are in the street. It
Mhm.
makes it easy to say they did it to themselves.
Yeah.
But that's not everybody out there. And
Yeah.
if I could leave anything with your audience today, that would be the thing. I
Mhm.
love FOB Hope. I want it to succeed. I want to be able to take care of people, and that's great. I want donations and all that, great. But the thing to take away is that not everybody on that street has mental health challenges or substance abuse. There are people like you and me out there that just
Mhm.
somehow something happened in their life and it changed it instantly.
And I mean, so essentially really changing that narrative and that perception and, understanding that that one thing maybe that not everybody has a support system, um,
Right,
that they can quickly recover from that, right? So
right,
maybe me or if it's or you or whoever like that might have something that they go through, has a support system, and not everybody has, that privilege, and the accessibility to a support system when something does go or happen. But essentially, kind of changing that narrative. Correct?
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, I hate that the media portrays it as, the worst of the worst, the downtrodden, the lowest of the low out there, because that's not the case.
Yeah.
And I believe that they do it because it's easier to say that, oh, these people are jacked up, they're messed up, that's why they're out there. They're not like you and I.
Right. Right. It's like no ownership and just sort of a us versus them kind of
Right. It's
mentality.
an easy way to wash your hands of it.
Yeah.
If you're affluent, it's
Yeah.
an easy way to say, well, they made their choices and they're out there, but not true. Not true for everyone. Yes, that's out there. Of course, I'm not naive to think that it's not. There's a lot of that out there, but not true for everyone.
It's not the only narrative. There's a lot of, that's not the only narrative. So, and I think that's, it's a really important kind of, maybe that's a good kind of juncture, a good closure kind of, to really just leave the audience with that, in mind, to really think about change.
But don't forget about FOB Hope.
Oh yeah. No, 100%. And so again, in terms of community support, what
yes,
kind donations, donation of land,
or just being. I mean, I started this 5 years ago, but it really is not running the way that a nonprofit is totally supposed to run. And I say that because I was doing the work. And I had no idea about running a nonprofit. So now I'm learning all this in school about how to, run a nonprofit. And so, if people have resources that they know of that I can go to get, assistance for capacity building or, anything, just support. Maybe somebody knows where an organization would give away free tennis shoes. Something like that, because I'll tell you, and not even tennis shoes here in Washington. Yes, the summertime tennis shoes are good, but I usually give them surplus combat boots because of the weather. So things like that. So money, time, in-kind donations, land, what advice, whatever. I'll take it all.
No, and I mean I think Seattle, we're not. We have a lot of accessibility, and folks have a lot of. We have a lot of resources here, and so
right, for sure,
put our resources towards supporting those that FOB Hope and homeless veterans, etc. So
the community has been amazing, for sure.
Yeah.
My family, my mother donated for my first year $35 a month so that I could buy a tent for, people they just step up like that. Yeah, it's awesome to see. Some of the American Legion, some of these organizations that are veterans organizations, they donated $500 towards Operation Mask Up. So, the community is definitely helping, but hey, one team, one fight is what I say.
Yeah, and I mean, I do see a lot of folks posting that they're making masks, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're making masks, that's something that you could
always use. Yes.
And so is there anything else that you kind of just like to add before we close out? I just want to make sure that we've sort of really hit things that you want to make sure that the community knows, you want them to know about.
I kind of feel like we hit it, I feel like everything I needed to say about FOB Hope is there. Everything I felt the need to say about George Floyd is there. And, we have to work together as a community, not only for this racism, but also to help others who are, don't have as much as we have, or just, lost their way a little bit. So I think the thing I would like to leave you and your audience with is lead from your heart. Love will always give you the answer. And if you get confused about something, just sit down and feel it in your gut. And it will tell you what it is that you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to react to this situation, and how you're supposed to take care of other people.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that. And for folks, for viewers, all have FOB Hope's info will be in the link, and any information that you may need. And I'm sure Monique is okay. I'm assuming you're okay with folks contacting you via email, et cetera.
Oh, absolutely. Email me. I don't have a problem with my phone, but I honestly don't answer as much as I do email. So email is the best way. I will, and you can share the link to sign up for the community conversation, which I believe is fobhope.eventbrite.com.
Definitely.
My website is fobhope.org. And mbrown at fobhope.org is my email address. And I thank you so much for giving me this platform to be able to just speak and share a little bit about my little world.
Thank you so much, Monique. It's been amazing. It's amazing to know you and amazing to have you here. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.